Many years ago, in the community of Ekpe, lived a woman named Doshima. She was a single lady in her early 30s who was hardworking, independent, and focused on building a stable life for herself. Love had never been her priority, not because she didn't believe in it, but because she had seen too many women lose themselves in the name of love. And so she refused to force it until she met Tefa. Tefa was a younger boy in his early 20s, full of life and unfulfilled dreams that had been limited by the harsh realities of the world. His friends admired him, and younger girls were drawn to him. But to everyone's surprise, Tefa found his heart drawn to Doshima. It started in the most unexpected way. Tefa had gone to the market one evening to buy fabric for his mother. He stopped at Doshima's stall, where she sold high-quality materials, and she helped him select the best ones. Their conversation was brief but rich. Tefa was intrigued by her confidence, her intelligence, and the way she handled her business with such skill. He returned the next day, and the day after that, finding an excuse to see her. "Doshima, you are different from any woman I know," he said to her one evening as they walked home after she closed her shop. Doshima smiled. "Different how? You are strong and independent. You are not just waiting for someone to take care of you. You take care of yourself." Doshima laughed. "That is because I have no other choice, Tefa. If I don't take care of myself, who will?" "Maybe I will," he said softly. Doshima's smile froze. Tefa was younger than her, full of youthful energy and potential. What would a young man like him want with an older woman like her? So she dismissed any thoughts. It's just admiration. He will move on. But Tefa did not move on. He became persistent. He would visit her shop daily, help her carry heavy loads whenever she restocked her fabrics, and walk her home every evening. He didn't care about what people thought, even when his friends mocked him. "Tefa, why are you wasting your time with an older woman? You should be with a fresh young girl." But Tefa shook his head. "You people don't understand. Doshima is not just a woman. She is a queen, and I love her." His words and confidence melted Doshima's heart, and slowly, against all odds, she allowed herself to love him back. Their love grew strong, despite the prejudice and gossip that followed them wherever they went. Doshima was very proud of Tefa. He had great potential, and she wanted him to have a better future than just struggling in small jobs. "Tefa, have you ever thought about going to the university?" she asked him one evening as they sat outside her house. Tefa sighed. "Of course, I have, and I wish to, but where will I get the money?" "I can support you," she said without hesitation. Tefa turned to her in disbelief. "You want to do that for me?" Doshima smiled. "Yes, because I believe in you. I know you can achieve great things, and I want to see you succeed." Tefa hesitated. "But it will take years. By the time I finish, I don't know if you still want to wait for me." Doshima smiled and held his hand. "I am not afraid of time, Tefa. I am only afraid of you not living up to your full potential." And so she did everything in her power to make sure he went to school. She took on extra jobs, sewing late into the nights, selling more fabrics, and even cleaning apartments for people on weekends. Every month, she sent him money for his fees, his books, and his daily needs. And Tefa was deeply grateful. "Thank you, Doshima. I don't know what I would do without you." Just promise me one thing, she told him. Promise me that no matter what happens, you will not forgive me. Tefa was very sure. I promise. One day I will finish school, get a good job, and marry you. I will take care of you as you have taken care of me. And Doshima believed him. 4 years passed, and Tefa completed his studies. Doshima was overjoyed and fulfilled. You did it, she exclaimed when he called her with the news. I am so proud of you, Tefa. Tefa smiled. Thank you, my love. It is all because of you. As fate would have it, Tefa soon got a good job at a reputable company. It was a dream come true. But Doshima soon began to notice something strange. Tefa started becoming distant. At first, he blamed it on work. My job is demanding, he explained whenever she asked why he hadn't visited her. I have so many responsibilities now. Doshima understood. After all, she had worked hard to get him to this level, so she wanted him to succeed more. But then, weeks turned into months, and the excuses continued. One evening, as they spoke over the phone, Doshima asked him, Are you okay, Tefa? You have changed. I am fine, Tefa replied coldly. Unknown to Doshima, Tefa was no longer proud of their relationship. He was now surrounded by young, educated women at his workplace and neighborhood that he began to see Doshima differently. The woman who had once been his strength now seemed like a burden. She looked older, worn out from years of working multiple jobs for him. She was not like the fresh, vibrant young women his colleagues were dating. And then one day, he met Wando, a beautiful young graduate from a party. She was lively, elegant, and everything that society considered suitable for a man of his status. Slowly, Tefa distanced himself from Doshima and drew closer to Wando. Doshima, who was unaware of his betrayal, continued to wait patiently, believing that Tefa was just busy, until one day when she decided to surprise him. That afternoon, Doshima arrived at the town where Tefa lived and worked. As she stepped out of the taxi, her heart pounded in her chest, hoping to get a good reaction from him. It had been months since she last saw him. His calls had become fewer, his text messages almost non-existent. But she still convinced herself that he was just busy. She had sacrificed too much for him to give up on her so easily. She made her way through the company building, ignoring the stares from the young, well-dressed employees as she asked for directions to the cafeteria. When she finally stepped inside, she spotted Tefa immediately. He was seated at a round table with his colleagues, laughing heartily. He looked confident, successful, and very much different. For a moment, she was really proud of her man. This was the man she had sacrificed everything for, the man she had believed in when no one else did. But then their eyes met, and the laughter faded from Tefa's face. He panicked as he realized who had just walked in. But before he could walk up to her to drag her out, one of his colleagues noticed her standing at the entrance and asked, Tefa, it seems she came to see you. Who is this? At that moment, all eyes turned towards Doshima, and Tefa was ashamed. He swallowed hard, trying to find a way out of this uncomfortable situation. He couldn't let them know the truth. How would they perceive him if he told them that this old, classless woman was his girlfriend? So he chose the worst lie possible. She's my mother, he blurted out. Everyone held their breath. Oh, you're welcome, ma. Doshima felt her breath seize. Mother? The word seemed to spin around her. As for Tefa, He avoided her gaze, pretending to focus on his food, as if nothing had happened. His colleagues giggled, while some whispered among themselves. "Wow, Tefa, your mother looks so young," one of them joked. Another one added, "And she dresses well too. She must have had you at a very young age." The laughter grew louder, and Doshima felt like the ground had just been pulled from beneath her feet. She was sweating profusely, even under the air conditioner. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Tears burned behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She would not break down in front of these people. Instead, she turned around and walked out. She didn't run. She didn't cause a scene. She simply walked out with her head held high, even though her heart was shattering with every step she took. Later that night, her phone rang. When she saw the caller, she hesitated before answering. "Hello?" Tefa's voice came through the line. "Doshima." She closed her eyes as she held the phone tighter. "Tefa, why?" Tefa sighed. "You should understand now. I couldn't be seen with someone like you at my office. My colleagues wouldn't understand our relationship." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "They won't understand, but I am the one who made you. I sent you to school, Tefa. I fed you. I sacrificed everything for you. And now you are ashamed of me?" "Doshima, please, let's not be emotional," he said dismissively. "What we had was in the past. I was young. It was just childish love." Doshima's heart twisted painfully. "Childish love? You promised to marry me, Tefa. You swore you would take care of me." Tefa cut her off impatiently. "That was then. I have grown. Things change and people move on." The finality in his voice made her heart cut into two. "Are you leaving me?" she asked in disbelief. "Yes, Doshima, it is over." And with that, he hung up. Just like that, the years of love, sacrifice, and promises were all gone in a single phone call. Doshima couldn't survive it. For weeks, she barely left her room. She refused to eat. She refused to work. She had built her entire future around this man, only for him to throw her away like she was nothing. However, while she suffered the heartbreak, Tefa was moving on with his life. Not long after breaking up with her, he proposed to Wando, the kind of woman whom he believed fit the image he wanted to present to the world. A few months later, they got married in a beautiful wedding ceremony. The church was filled with family and friends. Wando wore an expensive designer wedding dress, while Tefa stood proudly beside her, filled with excitement for his new life. As they danced in the reception that night, Tefa never thought about Doshima for 1 second. She was a closed chapter in his life, or so he thought. Years passed, and life continued smoothly for Tefa. He got a better job, which was going well, and he had even caught the attention of his company's CEO, Umar, a well-respected businessman who was known for rewarding hard-working employees. One day, during a staff meeting, the CEO made an exciting announcement. "Some of you have been performing exceptionally well, so we will soon be announcing promotions for deserving employees. It will be a double celebration, however, as I will also be introducing someone very important to this company." The staff were excited. Tefa too was. He was one of the top contenders for a promotion, and this was the moment he had been working for. Whispers filled the office as the staff guessed who the important guests would be. Some speculated that he was going to sell the company, while others believed he was just bringing in a foreign investor. However, whatever it was, the mystery added to the excitement. On the D-Day, the company's banquet hall was filled with excited employees who were dressed in their finest outfits, eager to witness what had been promised to be a double celebration. As the event commenced, Umar took the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a special day for our company. Not only are we celebrating the hard work and dedication of our staff, but I am also pleased to introduce someone very special, my wife, who would be joining us as the new Director of Operations. A loud erupted from the staff. His wife? When did the CEO get married? Who is she? Why didn't we know about this? Many of the female staff who had harbored secret hopes of catching Umar's attention felt their dreams shatter. Then the doors swung open. Lo and behold, Doshima walked in. The same Doshima. Tefa sat frozen in disbelief. His brain switched off as he stared at the woman who had once loved him, sacrificed everything for him, and whom he had discarded without a second thought. But nah, this was not the same Doshima. This Doshima was glowing. Her skin was smooth and radiant. Her confidence exuded power. She was dressed in an elegant blue gown with flawless makeup. She looked younger, richer, and more stunning than ever. Tefa blinked rapidly and slapped himself lightly on the cheek. Surely, this had to be a dream now, but it was no dream. As it a play, it a show. His worst nightmare had just walked into the room. As the CEO's wife, Doshima gracefully stepped beside Umar. Smiling calmly, she looked around the room, scanning the sea of faces, and then her eyes landed on Tefa. For a brief moment, she too was shocked. But she quickly composed herself. She overlooked him and acted as though he were just another employee in the company, a man of no significance. The applause died down as Doshima took her place beside Umar. Then the promotion list was handed to her. She scanned through it carefully, running her fingers over the names of those being considered for elevation, and then she saw his name, Tefa T. A slow smile spread across her lips. Then she cleared her throat. Before we move forward, I see that we have some pending promotions. Well, I would need to reevaluate this list before final approval. The room fell silent. Tefa's heart jumped out of his chest. She was delaying his promotion. Was she in control of his future now? It took everything in him not to collapse. However, Umar, who was unaware of the storm raging within his wife, simply nodded. That sounds fair. We want to ensure the best candidates are selected. Tefa swallowed hard. He knew he was finished. The events continued, but Tefa barely heard a word. His mind was spinning, trying to make sense of it all. How had Doshima become the CEO's wife? Where did she meet Umar? How had she transformed so much within just a couple of years? He needed answers. As soon as the events ended, Tefa rushed towards Doshima. He needed to speak to her, to explain, and probably to beg. But just as he was about to open his mouth, Umar appeared beside her. Tefa stiffened and stepped back slightly. Umar placed his arm around Doshima's waist. Before Tefa could utter a word, Doshima spoke up first. "Darling," she said sweetly, turning to Umar. Do you remember the man I once told you about? The one I sacrificed everything for, only for him to abandon me. The one who drove me to take my own life? Uma frowned. Yes, I remember. Doshima's smile grew wider as she pointed directly at Tefa. This is him. There was silence, and Tefa's legs shook like a banana tree under a stormy wind. Uma's eyes darkened as he looked at Tefa up and down. He then asked slowly, "You mean to tell me that this boy was the one who treated you that way?" Doshima nodded. Tefa was visibly shaken by now. He wanted to sink into the ground and disappear. But Doshima smiled and rescued him. She patted her husband's arm. "It's okay, darling. He's not important anymore." Then she turned to Tefa and said authoritatively, "You should focus on your job. I will not tolerate nonsense in this company." Tefa stood frozen and nodded like a lizard. Doshima and Uma turned and walked away, leaving him standing there like a fool. When Tefa got home that evening, his wife Wando immediately noticed that something was wrong. His face was pale and his hands were still shaking. He looked like a man whose entire world had collapsed. "Tefa, what is it?" Wando asked. He hesitated, then sighed deeply. "It is Doshima, my ex." Wando frowned. "What about her?" He swallowed hard before replying. "She's the CEO's wife." Wando blinked in disbelief, thinking she had misheard. "What? What did you just say?" "You heard me. She is married to my CEO." Wando slowly sat down, staring at her husband as if she was just seeing him for the first time. "Are you telling me that the woman you dumped, the same woman who sacrificed everything for you, is now the wife of your boss?" Tefa nodded miserably. Wando exhaled sharply and covered her mouth with her hands. "This is really bad." Tefa cleaned his face. "You think I don't know that?" Wando shook her head, still in shock. "So, what are you going to do now?" Tefa didn't have an answer. "I don't know." Wando folded her arms and thought deeply. "You need to resign. Leave that place before she destroys you." Tefa sat up straight. "Resign? Do you know what you're saying?" "What choice do you have?" Wando snapped. "She's your boss now. You humiliated her, abandoned her, and now she's in a position of power over you. Do you honestly think she's going to let this go?" Tefa shook his head stubbornly. "I can't resign. This is the best job I have ever had. Where will I find another one like this? Besides, I am due for a promotion." Wando scoffed. "Promotion? Tefa, wake up. Do you think she's still going to promote you? That woman will crush you." Tefa looked away, refusing to accept the harsh truth. But deep down, he knew Wando was right. He just wasn't ready to face the consequences of his actions. The next day, Tefa walked into the office as if he was walking into a battlefield. His steps were slow and nervous. He tried to avoid Doshima, but his fear followed him like a shadow. He barely spoke to anyone, only responding in short sentences when necessary. However, just before noon, his phone vibrated on his desk. It was a message from Doshima. "Report to my office immediately." Tefa's heart skipped a beat. For a moment, he considered ignoring the message, but he knew better. If he disobeyed, things would only get worse for him. So, with shaky legs, he made his way to her office. However, the moment he stepped inside, he regretted ever coming. Doshima sat behind a massive mahogany desk, dressed in a deep green dress that made her look like a queen sitting on a throne. She barely looked up when he entered. Instead, she continued typing on her laptop as if he was nothing but a nuisance. Close the door, she said without looking at him. Tefa obeyed with trembling hands. She finally lifted her gaze. Good, you are here. I need you to drive me to an appointment. Tefa stiffened. Drive you? Yes. You work here, don't you? Yes, but I am not a driver, he protested. Doshima looked amused. Oh, Tefa, you work for this company. I am now part of this company. That means you work for me. And right now, I need a driver. Tefa felt his pride crumble. This was humiliation at its finest. But he couldn't refuse. Not unless he wanted to lose his job instantly. Fine, he muttered. Good boy, Doshima said with amusement. Now let's go. As Tefa drove through the city, his hands gripped the steering wheel tightly. The silence in the car was sharp as a knife. And then Doshima laughed out loud from the back seat. Tefa looked at her through the rearview mirror, confused. Is something funny? He asked cautiously. She shook her head, still smiling. I was just thinking, so this is the boy I once loved, the one I almost killed myself over. Tefa swallowed hard. Doshima continued in mockery. Do you know how I ended up here, Tefa? I'm sure you want to know how I became the wife of your CEO. He didn't answer, but she continued anyway. After you left me, I fell into a deep depression. I felt like my life was over. I even tried to end it all. But fate had other plans. I had sliced my wrists, but people rescued me. They rushed me to the hospital as I was bleeding out, and I needed blood urgently. Unfortunately, my blood type is rare. But guess who happened to be in the hospital at that exact moment? Tefa didn't need to guess. Umar. Doshima's lips curled into a smirk. His blood matched with mine, so he donated to save me. And from that moment, our story began. She laughed dramatically. It is funny how life works, isn't it? Tefa felt sick. Doshima continued. If you hadn't left me, I never would have met Umar. So, in a way, I should thank you. Tefa's hand shook on the wheel, but he didn't dare say anything. When they arrived at the appointment venue, Doshima didn't step out immediately. Instead, she looked at Tefa and said, "It is not too late for you to resign." Tefa blinked. What? She smiled coldly. As long as I'm in this company, you will never get promoted. You will remain stagnant, taking orders like a servant. Tefa closed his eyes. So you have two options, Doshima continued. You can resign and save whatever pride you have left, or you can choose to stay and be my personal errand boy. Tefa could hear his intestines crying out at this moment. She was giving him a taste of his own medicine. This was karma in its purest form. As she stepped out of the car, she leaned in one last time. You thought you had won, Tefa. You didn't care about my life. But you see, I am now the owner of the bread and the bakery. With that, she walked away gracefully, leaving Tefa to drown in his regrets. Tefa banged his head against the steering wheel and cried. He had once believed he was invisible, that he could use people, discard them, and move on without consequences. But life had a way of settling scores. And now, the woman he had betrayed was his superior, his judge, his tormentor. That night, he came home to find Wando waiting for him looking worried. Tefa, you look terrible. He didn't respond. She sat beside him. What happened today? Tefa let out a bitter laugh. She made me drive her around like a common driver. Wando's eyes widened. What? He nodded slowly. She's punishing me, Wando. I don't even know what to expect next. Maybe she will humiliate me in front of everyone at the office, just as I did to her then. Then resign, Wando said. Tefa shook his head. I can't. This job is too good to walk away from. Where will I find another one like it? Who will pay me this much? Wando shook her head in frustration. So what is your plan? Stay and let her torture you forever? I don't know. I just don't know. The next few weeks were pure hell for Tefa. Doshima gave him the worst assignments, sent him on humiliating errands, and made sure his promotion remained on hold indefinitely. But what made it even worse was that he couldn't complain. Everyone in the company respected Doshima. She was kind, professional, and had the full support of the CEO. If Tefa dared to accuse her of anything, he knew that no one would believe him. One morning, she called him to her office again. He walked in nervously. Doshima barely looked up from the documents on her desk. I need you to fetch my clothes from the dry cleaner, she said coldly. Tefa clenched his fist. I am not a houseboy, ma'am. She finally lifted her gaze. No, you are not, but you are an employee of this company, and I am your superior. There was a challenge in her eyes. Tefa inhaled deeply. He had had enough. Every single day since she returned into his life had been a slow, agonizing punishment, and now he could feel himself breaking. Doshima, please, haven't I suffered enough? But her expression didn't change. Have you? He nodded. I know what I did was wrong. I know I hurt you, and I regret it deeply. But do you want to destroy me completely? Do you want me to beg on my knees? Doshima leaned forward and folded her hands. Tefa, I don't need to destroy you. You already did that to yourself. You are still the same selfish man who thinks the world owes him something. That is why you are suffering, not because of me. That night, Tefa lay awake staring at the ceiling. Doshima's words echoed in his mind. You did this to yourself. Wando turned and saw him awake. Tefa, what is wrong? He faced her. I'm resigning. Wando was shocked. Are you sure? Yes, I can't stay there anymore. I have no power there, and I can't keep living like this. He got out of bed, walked to his desk, and wrote his resignation letter. The next morning, he walked into Doshima's office one last time. She raised an eyebrow when she saw him. Is something wrong? He placed the letter on her desk. I'm leaving. She picked up the paper and scanned it. Then she nodded. Good choice. Tefa hesitated. He stopped himself. What more could he say? Nothing would change the past. Nothing would undo the pain he had caused. So he turned around and walked out. Not just out of the office, but out of Doshima's life forever. It took months for Tefa to get another job. He struggled and suffered. And during those months, he had time to think about the kind of man he had been. Only then did he truly understand what he had done to Doshima, how he had broken her and betrayed her trust and love. But life had a way of teaching painful lessons. He realized that karma was not punishment. Rather, karma is the reflection of who we really are. He had thought he could escape it, but in the end, it had found him, and he had no one to blame but himself. As for Doshima, she continued to grow. She had everything she needed: love, success, and peace. Thank you for watching the story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story with me in the comment section. Give the story a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye.